Okay, welcome everyone to this week's live. I will officially start at 7:37. Let's wait a few more minutes until this live email goes out to all the people who are subscribed to the channel. I know it takes a few minutes for Google to do its thing, to send all the emails out, and also people to look at my Instagram story and all the people on the Discord. So we will start around 7:37. I hope people have been doing good this week. Today was a very, very crazy day. So it's a very nice day today. Very good fall through day. It's from last week. Hey, Fiji, welcome. Welcome, Coop. If you guys don't mind me eating my dinner here. I appreciate that, but if you guys think it sounds gross, please tell me. Alright, for anyone who's new or coming in here right now, I'm going to be waiting at least until 7:37 before I start. So thank you all for your patience. Hey, yeah. So that's exactly what I think today as well. With the lower volume and then this lower volume push up, today might have just been the day where if you weren't in last week, especially if you're trading SPY, for example, and you wanted to swing it, especially let's say if you weren't in on Thursday, right? Um, I think if people are trying to get in today, for SPY calls or SPY SPX calls, I think they would pretty much been they're pretty late on their entry on their part, and there should be some sort of consolidation forming the next few weeks. Hey, O'Brien, no, you're not late. You're not late. We're starting around 7:37. Okay, I just know how many people come around this time, so also that's the reason why we're starting at 7:30. Because people tend to join in the middle of the live or near the end of the live. So I want to make sure people are able to hear what I have to say and do the technical analysis for the people who are looking to submit the tickers in the chat. So you're all good, man. You're all good. And Coop, thank you. I will be grubbing. I don't want to eat too late, since I am on the Pacific Standard Time. I'm eating my dinner here. Yeah. I mean, I actually want to go back to New York one day, maybe by the end of this year, or at the very least early next year. But for sure, next year I also do want to travel. I have plans to travel to Southeast Asia, Europe. So that should be fun. That should be fun. Uh, okay. Yeah, a few seconds left here. And let's go. Okay. All right, so let's do a quick market review here. So we have we've had a good outside candlestick here. So if you guys know what an outside candlestick is when this candlestick, the current candlestick, is overshadowing the previous candlestick here, right? But if the candlesticks here were the opposite, right? This small candle, if it was reversed here, so this one was to the left and this one's to the right, the smaller candlestick would have would be this one would be called the inside candlestick, okay? Because it's inside this big candlestick. But right now, if I flip it back, this is the outside candlestick, which tells me that bulls are in control. Now, even if the bulls are in control here, okay, I'm worried. Why? Well, because we're seeing stair-stepping volume lower, right? If you guys see the past couple of days here, instead of seeing increasing volume like I wanted to see, we're seeing decreasing volume. And you guys can also see the average volume line here, this orange line here, going lower, right? I would want to see this to go up higher, start curving upwards as volume increases, as we're breaking out, right? So this tells me, first off, number one, the market is waiting for the start of all the earnings to come out, right? Which makes sense. And the market tends to do that as well. Number two, the market is waiting to see a form of digestion, right? And the reason why we have we could have a potential digestion and consolidation is that if I go on the 2 hour time frame, look what we did today, right? So I was actually expecting, since we did open up, let's see how many points here, over 1 point, right? Over a point here, from last Friday's close, and then I was like, okay, this is good because we can finally take a breather, and start filling in this gap here, and then start to move up higher, right? Because it's always good to see a lot of support building up before moving up higher. Especially, it's good for SPY to always fill in the gaps. Well, because I would say 80 to 90% of the time, SPY tends to fill up any type of gap that is made. And so far, guess what? We have 2 gaps here, right? So the next few trading days or even tomorrow, I could be expecting SPY to make some sort of a movement downward so it can finish up what it can finish here, right? Filling this gap here, since we just filled in the gap halfway, a little more than halfway here. But yeah, so, O'Brien, yes, you have a couple of tickers for me. Go ahead, send them all. And Coop, you said approaching a nasty supply zone imbalance. Yeah, so I was expecting initially a rejection around 445.70 to 80ish today, but we just saw a lot of big pushing in the early morning. So the first 2 hours of trading, as you guys can see, was 2 hour candlestick, and then from that point on, we just kept on going upwards and upwards and upwards. So this type of action here worries me, because the very next day, what people tend to do is they tend to they think that, okay, since we're going up so much, right? People think that, okay, I can just hold on to my positions overnight, right? But they're not focusing on how the prices acted that current day, right? And instead of managing their current positions that are in profits, that they can potentially start taking profits, at the very least half, right? They just keep on holding on to their positions, and then overnight, right? Overnight, the market goes lower, and guess what happens, right? The very next day, the positions are down. Their profits have turned to a very measly, small, tiny, measly, tiny profits, and then they start stressing out and they start adding into more of a position when the market is going down, right? And the positions start to follow along, and that becomes the absolute worst situation they can be in. And how do I know this? Because I've been in this situation, right? It's always best to take profits into strength, especially on days when the market is basically hauling ass, right? And pushing these ticker, basically almost every single ticker up, right? And when the overall market is pushing and creating a lot of demand for a lot of tickers to move up higher, that allows a lot of tickers to go up higher, but at the same time, it traps a lot of people to thinking that they can hold on longer, right? And in fact, the very next day, the profits vanish. All right, and that's what creates a lot of stress and a lot of misplaced buying power and a lot of losses. All right, so Yeah, so price has been consolidating within supply zones recently on SPY and QQQ and creating demand zones. Exactly. Yeah, so it's very fun to watch, right? When you see that supply zones reverse to a demand zone and vice versa. All right, and you can clearly tell when that could happen, especially when you're nearing levels of supports or levels of resistance. All right, and especially when the price starts to act accordingly and react on those significant levels. Okay, so that's it for my basically my market summary there. We have a level of huge resistance around 448. So tomorrow we can see a huge, just a very short burst of a big movement up towards 448 and immediate rejection, right? And so tomorrow we might see in the morning very little volume of buyers coming in, pushing the price upwards to 448, and then we might see that huge selling volume come back in. Why? Why do I think 448 is a very good area to see some selling? Because that's where we saw that first break of the 10 SMA and the 21 SMA here, right? So this area right here between 445.50ish to around 448, that's where a lot of sellers were coming in, right here. So it's essential that you guys be prepared for that, especially. And tomorrow, if we do have a bounce, it's good that you guys take some profits and take advantage of that market bounce all the way up to 448. If we gap down a little bit tomorrow and then bounce all the way to 448, that will be a good area and time to get out. All right. Okay. So, O'Brien, we have our first. Thanks, O'Brien. Here we have our first list of tickers. Amazon. Amazon's always a beast when it comes to reversing its trend, and this time it's reversing the trend to the upside. Okay, so Friday we saw a bunch of volume coming in, equity and call option contracts, and we saw a huge movement upwards, which is very good for the stock, because today I did plan to trade it today, but I was looking at something else. I was looking at Airbnb actually, and I did go over this when I did my Zoom live on my C.F.O Discord here with my subscribers. So I'll go over again here once I'm done with the tickers here. But overall, Amazon, we saw a lot of selling coming in at this specific level that I've drawn here. So if I go on the 2-hour time frame here, perfect. So right here is 3428, so 3,428, or if you want to round up, 3,429 was a level of resistance. How do I know? Well, take a look right here, right? This level around here, right? After this gap down, we saw continuous selling from whenever the price hit this significant price level, and today we started to push up along with the market, and then we saw that rejection here, right? And we actually came back down all the way to 3,405 to 4ish, I believe, and then we closed the candlestick around 3,411, and from that point on we kept on going higher and higher. Now, even if I look at the 4-hour time frame or the 2-hour time frame or the 1-hour time frame, right, you see that there's a lot of green candlesticks here, right? So first off, right, my first thought is this is very bullish, because it is, right? I mean, you have a lot of volume on every single green candlestick that we see. Very solid green candlesticks that are very long as well. But on the other side, or on the other hand here, we're seeing lower volume and we've broken into a level of resistance, right? We have a lot of selling here from this point forward, right? And if you have lower buying volume coming in into a level of resistance or area of supply, that's telling us that there's going to be higher probability that sellers will come in at any point tomorrow and flush this name down. All right, and if it does, all right, if we see a flush, okay, we should see a support around 3,393-ish to around 3,395, okay. But if we see a flush, we should see some type of support forming right here around 3,430-ish if you want to round up. So yeah, 3,430, that would be a good area to be looking out for if you want to look at whole numbers. But I highly doubt that there can be some type of support here. We should see a little bit more of a flush downwards to maybe even 3,400. So you guys should be able to see some type of bounce tomorrow at 3,400 if we do come back down. So make sure you guys are peeling your eyes on those levels But for sure, if you come back down and break below 3,400, you should see a bounce around 3,393 to 3,394. Okay, so that's basically my game plan tomorrow. There's a higher probability and chance that Amazon can go lower tomorrow, like the rest of the market. But just to take a note here, whenever Amazon pushes up like this, all right, you should look for areas where Amazon had done this in the past. So first off, we have one right here. We have another one right here, another one right here, another one right here, and so on, right? And you guys can clearly tell that there have been red days where we pull back a little bit, right? And so tomorrow, we can see a little tiny pullback as well, a very small red day, right? Especially if the market doesn't decide to pull all the way back down and start filling in the gaps that it should have filled today, right? The most recent gap, all right? So if we don't see that type of movement, where the market starts to go lower, we can see a small red day where we just slightly consolidate above 3,429-ish to 3,430 for a round number. Okay. You're playing the gap fill to the downside? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could work. That could work. Yeah, so this gap right here is probably what you're looking at here, right? I mean, we're almost there, right? We have about, let's see what the low of the day here was. What? 3,452. Yeah. I mean, we have around 6 points left, right? So that's basically probable. Yeah. I mean, tomorrow, yeah, if the gap is filled, we can most likely see some selling coming in, especially since there's a lot of selling coming on right here. So yeah, that's a good plan. Okay, and SQ. So I did took a look at this. I took a look at this. I think around, let's see, it was before lunchtime, I believe. We're going to 2 hour time frame here. Yeah. So I was looking at this from right here. So let me actually go even lower here in the 1 hour time frame. So I was looking at SQ at the break of 250, and that was what? When did it break off? 8:30ish. All right, so around 8:30 to between 8:30 to 9:30 is when we broke out. So I was looking at SQ in the morning because my alerts went off because SQ broke below 347-ish. I think I put my alerts at for the alert to go off if it breaks $347 whole number. So for SQ to fall like this below, it was actually a very good opportunity to dip buy here because on a 2 hour time frame, right, we came right back down, all right, and we almost filled the gap, just like with any other name. And then the 21 SMA started to curl upwards and support the movement upwards, right? So today I obviously didn't get an SQ. I got a different name. I'll be explaining soon what that was. But this break of 250 was very clean, and we continued to break out. But as with everything else, we broke out, continued to break out, but with lower volume. All right, you should always be alerted to the fact that when you have a breakout like this for resistance and you see continuous lower volume, that tells you that there's most likely going to be a pullback towards the previous level of resistance. So the very first level of resistance where the price broke out. So we can see a most likely a pullback to 250 and then a potential bounce using this level as a new level of support. Okay, so that's very, very possible. Okay, so for SQ, simple game plan. If we continue to go up tomorrow, your price target will be 255.50ish, and then rejection off from there. Why do I say that? Well, on the 2 hour time frame, we have the 200 SMA almost coinciding with the 255. So if the price moves up, the 200 SMA should come down and go lower. And why do I know this, or how do I know this? Well, like I told you guys before many times in the past, I am completely confident and I know how my SMAs work, right? So it's always at the end of the day what you're comfortable with, right? If you don't want to use SMAs, you don't need to. You could get comfortable with anything else, right? So, it's always essential to be subjective, especially when you're testing out something that's going to work out for you. But obviously, in the beginning, you need to know the basics, know all the technicalities, the terms, how everything works, and etc. Right? And then from that point on, once you're mastered the basics, you should see or be able to actually at the very least figure out what's best for you. Yeah, you can wait for the 250 retest. But tomorrow morning, if we have a bounce right at the market open tomorrow, you can actually scalp all the way to 255 because I've seen stocks do that multiple times with the market. Okay, so that's something that you guys should well, especially for you if you're gonna look at this name for SQ O'Brien. Yeah. So tomorrow, 255 or 250. It's either way there. Okay. But I would say if you're trying to go long, go set an alert at 250 if once the price touches here. And it's from that point on. If the price bounces, you can go long on there. X American Steel, United States Steel Corporation. So this is a good name. So my subscribers know, and you guys should know as well, I like to see Cliff, right? CLF, Cleveland Cliffs, as my steel name here. But every single name that was involved with commodities or steel, specifically steel like NUE or STLD, right? They all acted the same today. All right. We saw a lot of gap downs across the board with steel names, and then I believe STLD had earnings today, right? Yeah, so they had some phenomenal earnings today actually, and after a big gap down, we saw STLD pushing up higher, which is most likely allowed other steel names like X to push up higher. So X here, perfect play here, especially if you played it here. For anyone who played it on an X. Nice double bounce here, right? And it seems like we're looking to go back all the way up to $22 here and then reject off of again, because right now the trend overall is to the down. It's to the downside. All right, I really can't negate that. I just looking at the charts, right? We're seeing that there's a lot of resistance below the 200 SMA, and just by the fact that the price does not want to get back up above the 200 SMA just tells me that maybe for now this huge run up that it had since late 2020 is over, right? And it needs to digest here, right? But so far I'm really liking this consolidation that we've been forming. So we formed a nice area of support around 20.50, and then a nice level of resistance around 22.50ish, or even maybe 23 if you want to use whole numbers here. So 20.50 to 23, that's a great range to play off of, right? That's a 3-point range, almost 3-point range over there. So you can range trade this, range trade. I mean, this can happen here. So they downgraded X to $17. Well, if there's even more downgrades from analysts, this can potentially break lower and lower. So you can actually write this lower then, right? If they downgraded. So the thing with downgrades though, Ryan, is they take time to actually basically the price takes time to kind of price in those downgrades. So it's best that you know that there's downgrades and then keep in the back of your head and not let these downgrades or upgrades influence your trading. All right, that's how I take them, and that's what has helped me in the past so far. But yeah, nice range, 20.50 to 23 range trading is preferable here if it continues to respect both these levels. Yeah, if you want to get some January 2023 leaps, you can. I'm looking to get Cleveland Cliff leaps soon. I didn't get a chance to since I was already heavily deep in leaps in Baba, Neo, and Fiserv. So Cleveland Cliffs, this one I told my subscribers why I was deeply into this name already. Why I wanted to be long this name, because STLD has become a complete conglomerate for steels, and it's basically producing most of the steel, and it's something that you guys always want to look at if you want to invest in companies that are leading, right? They're leaders in their sectors, right? So Cleveland Cliffs, right? CLF. That's something that I'm going to buy for leaps, especially into 2023. Okay, that's last one here on Google. So Google has been doing very, very good, obviously. Why? Because Google is an ad behemoth, right? I've said this on my newsletter this week. Why? Because I was talking about Snap. So Google, their cloud services especially, and their ad services are very, very popular, and it's something that Google has been pushing, ever since they've been pushing for advertisements on their platforms to be used. Their platform to be used. Hey Joel, welcome. I've been wondering where you were. I know you're always in here, so I was like, I wonder if he's gonna come today or not. Glad to see that you arrived here on time. But yeah, so Joel, if you didn't get the message, I'm going to start at 7:30 since people tend to join a little bit later. As obviously that people probably have work and they're coming back from work around that time. So yeah, cool. So that's what I did for my MacBook. I did a trade-in. I basically paid only $300 for a new MacBook with the M1 chip, and this laptop is doing really, really great. I mean, everything's loading quickly. I can stream. I can have my trading view open. I mean, it's just seamless, this M1 chip. I'm kind of glad that Apple moved away from Intel, even though that's horrible for Intel. Um, so, Apple has been. I think they can become a semiconductor powerhouse if other companies start using Apple's chips. That'll be a complete new breakthrough for Apple, to be honest. So I'm already thinking in those terms of how Apple can potentially become an actual semiconductor manufacturer. So yeah, go ahead, man. I mean, it's a pretty good deal, not bad at all. And I got a good evaluation price for my old MacBook. It was a 2017 MacBook, so it's a pretty good deal. Okay, so for Google, all right, I made that high here. So let's actually make a little. I should put it there. Okay, so Google. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Google busts 3,000. I mean, this is an absolutely crazy run here. If you look at the weekly time frame, right? Ever since 2020 here, we've gained what? What is this percentage here? Okay, if I really want to work. Okay. Yeah, this is an almost 200% return here since March 2020 lows. So, Alphabet or Google is one of those companies that you should be betting on to the long side, especially when you see sales going on Google. So, Google is a monster ad behemoth, cloud services as well now. So Google should be something that you guys should always be watching out for, always. But daily time frame, I think it's ready for a pullback. But tomorrow we can see another tiny red day like this tomorrow, like this, right? And then another push higher, all the way back to 3,890. All right. But support, I would say support. If I look at the 2-hour time frame here, that's fine. I could use more data here. Yeah. Okay. So just like the daily time frame, 2,805 will be your nearest area of support. Looks like. Yeah. So 2,805 or 2,804, that tiny range there should be a good support area if we flush downward tomorrow. But at the same time, 2,800 should be a good psychological whole number level to be watching out for. Okay. But so far, Google, great breakout out of this downtrend that was forming here. But so far, I mean, Google really needs to start allowing the 200 SMA to start catching up on the weekly time frame. I mean, do you guys see how far away it was as well? I mean, look, right before the crash from COVID, right? It was around I would say 45. Okay, let's say 45%. A good 45% away from the 200 SMA. Now, guess what it is? Right? I mean, this is what? 90% at current levels? Right? So if we do see a broader market crash anytime soon, right? Because right now the market has been acting very odd, right? It's been with the inflation numbers, the market has been going down. The market hasn't been going down, and so this is the reason why I think when the Fed, the most important numbers, the interest rates numbers come out, right? If they start increasing interest rates, that's bad for the equity markets, right? That's a historical trend that you guys can basically search for, right? When the Fed increases their interest rates, that's bad for the equity markets, right? And equity markets usually start pulling back. And if that happens, and I'm probably thinking next year and then mid next year or even into 2023, if there's between those two time frames, if there's two rate hikes, that should provide enough of a market rollback and cause names, especially big tech growth names like this, to pull back. And that could also be a very, very good area to start adding in for your long-term investment portfolios. Okay. So for Google, that's my broader long-term goal there. Yeah, if Apple releases their car, and if they actually start buying, right? So if the car deems to be something that consumers want and it's not overvalued, and they don't try to frame Apple's car as something as simple as their Apple products, it could be very beneficial for them. Very much so. Okay. And then, okay, so next one we have is A-Firm. So A-Firm is a monster, as you guys know. And if you guys haven't watched my my video, my full breakdown video on my YouTube channel on A-Firm, I made a video, I think, of A-Firm around right here, right? And we saw that big jump. And so I'm pissed off at myself for not getting in. But obviously, what can you do? Right? I no one could have predicted, especially us retail traders. I know. I bet institutional and hedge funds knew about this before already, man. But since they know how to get information, secret information that we have no access to. But we couldn't have predicted that A-Firm is going to be collaborating with Amazon, I believe, or was it Apple? Amazon, I believe it was both. So yeah, man, I've been preaching about A-Firm for a long time. I just lost the confidence for A-Firm because I was expecting some type of catalyst to come out, but at the very least, I was able to catch a trade from right here at the support bounce around 64, and I took profits at this stick right here. Right? I mean, that's not a bad trade, right? From 64 to about 71 to 72-ish. That's a good percentage. I mean, I can't complain about that. Obviously, if I held longer, I probably could have caught this. Hey, but you know what? No one can predict these random catalysts every day, right? Even though I was expecting something to happen, but obviously the timing was a little bit off. But I mean, I can't linger on timing because remember, trading is not about timing, right? It's all about how you view the price, the way you look at the volume and everything else, right? Especially as a technical trader. Exactly. Profit is profit, right? Yeah, so A-Firm, all-time highs. We're pushing all-time highs here with increasing volume. So this is what I call right here. This is where retail and institutional buyers are coming in. So this reminds me of UPST, right? This type of action that's been going on here, this whole area right here, where we keep on pushing into all-time highs, which is very good. I mean, higher highs is good for any type of bullish market, right? And lower lows is good for any type of bearish market, right? So for A firm, I want to see more of a digestion than what you saw here, right? I want to see one more pullback here. But every single time, when you have a thought that there's gonna be some type of pullback when we're at all-time highs, the opposite tends to happen. Why? Because there's a lot of people who are thinking the same way that you are, and they actually take action and they take short positions, right? They take puts or they start borrowing shares to short, right? And what happens to them is that at the all-time high prices, they get squeezed out. And that's the reason why we keep on seeing a big push. We keep on getting pushed and pushed and pushed higher, right? We're squeezing out every single shorter until, now you might be wondering, wait, if these buyers are squeezing out the shorters, and if they completely take out the shorters, right? There's like a small percentage left of shorters. When will the buying stop? When the buying volume stops, and when the buying, when the buyers become basically exhausted, right? There's a thing called seller exhaustion, and there's also called a buyer exhaustion, and you can kind of get a sense of when that happens by looking at the volume, right? So every single time you see a little tiny pop, for example, today, right? It was lower volume than last times, right? Last week's pops, right? Relatively speaking, here it was lower. So once the volume starts to go lower and die down, we should see less volatility and lower volume and more of a consolidation phase to form before we start making new all-time highs once again. All right, but this very, very bullish. All right, this is a very bullish action. I'm going to be expecting more upside for A firm. I just need to see a little bit more of a convincing consolidation phase to happen in order for us to powerhouse through to all-time highs and probably up to 200, right? Because the buy now, pay later trend is really taking off. People are really using it too as well. And call it the resistance like I did for UPST. I mean, if you asked me that today, I would have said 160. And because I kind of, well, sometimes it's a gut feeling at this point for me now, since I'm too used to seeing prices moving, and I just know it. But if you asked me earlier today, I probably would have said 160. Just off of gut feeling and based off basically off of my experience. I mean, I can't lie there. Nah, it's not basically all based on gut feeling, but yeah. For A firm, this is a lot of FOMO buying too as well, not just institutional buyers. But I would say 160 is still a good probable area to be looking out for as a level of new resistance into all-time highs. But if you continue up higher, 164 to 165 can become the next all-time high level and a new resistance level if you push higher tomorrow. Okay, but for now, 160 is good, and obviously, yeah, we are at overbought levels. But you guys have to remember, there's one thing about the RSI. Just because we are overbought, right? Just because we're overbought doesn't mean we will immediately reject. It means that there's a lot of buying going in as well. You guys had to be thinking in both sides, right? That's the best way to figure out how you're going to play something, how you're going to feel this trade, okay? Because it's something that you guys should be feeling, right? It's very, very apparent these days to say that you shouldn't be feeling anything, no emotions, right? I don't really align with that, because when you're really trading, right? What do you feel, right, guys? Type in the chat below, right? Right before you're about to enter into a trade, or right before you're making a trade plan, what do you feel like, right? When you're feeling bullish or bearish, that's an emotion, right? Because if you're feeling bullish or bearish, what is that? You're feeling confident, right? You have an emotion. You're feeling confident, and that confidence turns to excitement, right? And if you didn't have such emotions, you wouldn't even be thinking about being bearish or bullish. Does that make sense, right? It comes full circle there. So you need emotion to make some type of plan or even to actually execute a trade. So never ever think that you should shut down your emotions, right? Even though that's a very popular thing to say lately. Well, it's always been popular in the trading community and overall in trading. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but that's something that I always want to. I'm trying to change the way people think because of the fact that it's something that I think people are doing wrong by moving away from the emotions. And yeah. Brian, it's basically it's saying the RSI still has a bit room to move. So I wouldn't be surprised if you go to 165, all right, and kind of top off there. But like I said before, A firm, institutional buying going in, and FOMO buyers are really heavy into this name, like especially heavy on A firm. So and the whole market paradigm has changed with retail traders and their FOMO, just like AMC and GME and everything else. So it's a very very interesting time that we're in. Ever since I've gone to trading around late 2017 and early 2018. So I mean, think about that, guys. I went through two crashes now. So most people have either never experienced a crash or experienced their first crash in 2020. So it's been a very interesting past couple of years for me. I've gone to two crashes: the crash of 2018, the Santa Claus crash, and the COVID-19 crash. So it's always very interesting to kind of feel good to be part of history in the markets. Yeah, Coop. So as you've noticed that negative emotions have no place in trading. Yep. So always be optimistic, but at the same time, pessimism is something that shouldn't be in your head at all times as well, because that's going to destroy you eventually, and it's going to make you give what traders call trader depression, which spills onto other parts of your life as well. How did I know this? Because I've gone through that plenty of times. And sometimes I still do. But even if I still do, I know how to regulate it, right? And that's what we should be doing, regulating our emotions. Okay, not erasing our emotions. That's false. All right. Hey, Sean. I didn't even see you there. Thank you for your takers. I'm glad that you're back. Sean, Ryan, Joel, Coop, you guys are all very, very stringent watchers here of my live. So I really, really appreciate you guys coming. If you guys have any friends or family who are looking to trade, you guys know who to look out for. You guys know who to look out for, man. I mean, just invite them to these lives. I mean, and show them my beginner's trading book on my website. I mean, these are all basic stuff that it will create a guaranteed foundation for anyone who's wanting to learn. So if anyone is very optimistic about learning to trade or anything like that, you guys know where to have them be led to. The COVID crash created by Fuji's trades. All right, so Sean, before I get into your tickers here, FDX, and it's actually a good ticker. I was actually about to go into this as well. Coop, Fiji. So what's your favorite methods of dealing with negative trader emotions and meditation? So I actually don't meditate, even though I should be doing that a lot more. It's a very for me, it's going to vary obviously, but I want to move away from the screen, and that's exactly what I do. So for me, my favorite method of dealing with negative emotions specifically is reading and literally watching my favorite shows. Right? I mean, it's how we deal with stress, right? If you're stressed out with something, people might eat their stress foods, or people might want to look at their favorite shows, like me, or they might want to work out, which I sometimes do as well, right? So for me, with negative trader emotions, I tend to first off, I identify it, right? And Coop, take a look at my blogs. Okay, I do have a blog. I recently, so everyone on here on my live, take a look at all my blogs, read them all. It's a very short, I would say around 1 to 2 minute read. It doesn't take that long. There's only 3 posted. The fourth one's coming tomorrow night. So make sure you guys read that as well. But all three blogs are very, very essential for you guys to read. I believe, I actually believe. Why? Because I read them myself. Even if I read it, I still go back to it because it's something that's going to help me. I know. I know my words, my own words are going to help me as well. Right? So yeah, it's very good to be active as traders, physically as well, not just mentally, because trading really screws up and f's with your mental capacity, your mental state, and everything. All right, so Arsenal. Hey Joel, yeah, I know. I remember when you got the book and you found it very, very helpful. So I'm very glad that it did because the book is set to be your solid foundation before you really actually do any type of trading. And it's a whole accumulation of things that you should know before you go into any advanced trading topics. Okay, so Sean, let me get into your tickers here. FDX. FDX. Interesting, interesting. So what I'm seeing here is this is a pretty good. So if I run the 4 hour time from here, so the only thing that's worrying me here, Sean, is that we're kind of forming an ascending channel here. Okay, and this can lead to more downside, obviously, but on the daily time frame, all we've been doing is allowing the 10 and 21 SMA to catch up, and today we've officially allowed the 21 SMA to catch up. Why? Well, because we closed above it, right? People have asked me, how do you know, right? How do you know if the SMAs are caught up? Well, because if I'm trying to talk in bullish terms, like how I am now, the price has closed above the 10 and 21 SMAs. That's it. Right? There's no complicated math or anything like to this, right? I'm just using my eyes to tell me what I'm seeing, right? So the price has closed above the 21 and 10 SMAs. That's it, right? So overall, very bullish. And the past few trading days here, the past 4 days, trading days, has been very good. We pushed up higher. 10 SMA is curling upwards now and going to support the way up. Sean, I think for FedEx and the way it moves and acts, we should see at least 1 to 2 more days of red, but very small days of red. So I think we're definitely going to see some type of consolidation move here between 226.20 to around 228, and maybe one more rejection down and eventually fill this gap right here back towards 225. Okay, and 225 can potentially be your area to buy off of as a support, right? So look out for these 3 price levels, right? 225, 226.20ish, and 228. All right, Sean. Just one more thing though. Just one more thing. If we break 225 after we fill in this gap right here, we're going to see a move lower, okay, and eventually hit this level of ascending support again, right? And if that happens, right, you do not want to be caught up in a potential breakdown all the way back down to 220 level of support, right? So make sure you're seeing a confirmed bounce at 225 with enough buying volume coming in, all right? And especially if we see a movement lower to 225, we should see, or at the very least, able to see the 50 SMA kind of coincide with the 225 level and bounce up above and help the price bounce up above the 50 SMA here. And the 2 hour time frame, that should be our there we go. Yeah. So, the 21 SMA has caught up to 225. So we should be able to see a retest on the 21 SMA here as well. All right. So around 225. So basically, again, 225, 226, 228. 228 are all the price levels that you need to be watching out for this week for FDX. All right, Sean? Give me a thumbs up if you understood that. Just to make sure that you have no questions there and that I can clarify for you. Seems like some of you guys are talking soccer terms there that I have no idea what that is. Oh. Color candles, yeah. I mean, I've personally used them before, but obviously I don't use them because I personally don't like them. But hey, if it works for you, that's even better. And I apologize to all the new people in the live. I am currently eating. I'm eating my dinner. It's past 8, so I don't want to eat too late. So I apologize if I'm being rude here. So I'll make sure I'll be eating a little. I'll be eating in small bites. um, anyway, let's see. Okay, so Sean, this and everyone who just joined the live, this will be my last name here since I'm passing 50 minutes here. So Baba. That's true for soccer. Yeah, you're right. Anyone can enjoy it. I mean, my people, Koreans, they love soccer. All right, so Baba, really, really good action. Why? Because we're staying near the 50 SMA here on the daily 50 SMA, and whenever we're going up above the 50 SMA, that's telling us that finally a name that's been battered like this, like Baba, is finally ready to capitulate and stop selling off, right? And so if you're able to break above 169.50ish and eventually 170, and stay above 170, we should be able to see continuous movement to the upside towards 177.50. Okay, but so far, great action. If I go in the 4-hour time frame, nice bull flag here. Okay, but we are a little bit overbought here. So we should see a little tiny flush back down to 164ish and establish a nice range of support here around 164. Soccer, StarCraft, and League of Legends. Yeah, man. I'm a total whitewashed Korean, so I don't play any games. Surprisingly, if that's surprising to you, I don't play LOL or StarCraft at all. Even though I probably should have, because games like that are very strategic and it's very very good for things like the stock market. So, and that's funny because I know Koreans are really really good at StarCraft. Yeah, so Sean, if you I was long since right here. Obviously, I was down a little bit here, but I got even more positions at this candlestick right here on October 6th. So I was able to average down on the way up. Okay, and obviously that paid out really well because my position is over 100% now. So I've made what I've invested in, and a bit and a bunch more since I'm up over. Let's see, let me see my position here. Yeah, so I'm up about 120%. So it's a very good investment here. I still think Alibaba is pretty cheap for its valuation. I think Alibaba should be around 300 too. So for long term, great stock, literally great stock. Okay, so Baba, your levels are 164, 169 to 170. But if you break 164, which I don't think it should, but even if it does, we should see solid levels of support around 158 to 160. Okay, and why did I say 160? Well, because the 10 SMA is crossing up here to 160 as well. All right, so if price comes back down and decides to bounce up above the 10 SMA, it should bounce as well. All right, because the 10 SMA is catching up now. And for the fact that I like that the price is staying up above the 50 SMA, allowing to curve downwards and eventually go lower and lower, while the 10 and 21 continues to shot upwards as well. Yeah, yeah. I honestly believe that with that as well with Amazon. The Amazon has been doing so well, and Baba should be doing the same thing as well. As the pressures from the CCP should be going away soon, hopefully. So Alibaba, if you guys have your Roth IRAs or 401ks or whatever broker that you have a brokerage account, I honestly 100% believe that BABA should be an investment choice for you guys. All right. So this is a very, very good price to have right now still to get in. And if it goes lower, that's fine. Dollar cost average, right? At every single good support area, right? Add more shares into your initial position, your principal position. And that's exactly what hedge funds do. And that's the reason why they're able to have great returns as well. The dollar cost average. Okay, that's it for today. We are nearing 55 minutes here. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's C.F.O technical analysis night. And for the people who are not in the C.F.O Swing Watch, I did tell my subscribers that I'm only going to be doing Mondays and Wednesdays since that did win. And also I did choose to do Mondays and Wednesdays. I don't see a lot of people joining on Friday because it's a Friday, right? People want to be out and dancing, partying. So it's best that I don't do this technical analysis on Friday. People want to rest as well after a week of trading. So Mondays and Wednesdays, all right, 7:30 to we will be starting around 7:30 PST and 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, that's our new times there since everyone joins in a little bit later. Yeah. So Brian, you're right. Sean, he's right there. Grab as much as you can, leaves and shares, I would say. But wait for either a touchback down to 164, or you can just literally grab shares, man. I mean, grab shares and slowly, but don't put all your money in, obviously, but slowly dollar cost average if the price goes lower than the entry price, right? At significant areas of support. That's the little tiny asterisk that I should be saying. At significant areas of support is where you should be dollar cost averaging when you see the actual price bouncing at those significant levels of support. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so don't put all of your money on BABA, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a good time to be buying BABA just because of how cheap it is, right? Based on the valuation, right? Of course, thank you. Thank you for joining, guys. Literally, I mean, these lives aren't possible without your input, your comments, and your likes, especially on the video. On all the videos and everything else. So I really appreciate you guys for joining. I truly do. I mean, this is I feel great to be always doing these technical analysis videos for you all, and putting out content for you on my Instagram page and doing my C.F.O Swing Watch newsletters and etc. And so guys, make sure you guys are reading the blogs. Okay, you know what, let me actually send in a link here. So if you guys will go to my main website, chartsfocus1.com, and if you guys click on the blog, okay, you guys go. I'll pin this message. Please go on to the blogs and read them all. All right, it's only 3 blogs, and if you guys want to, give a like onto the blog, share the blog, and comment on the blog as well if you learned something. Of course, man. Of course. Thank you for that. Thank you, and you're welcome. All right. Thank you everyone for joining. Please take a look at my blogs. It's a very good read, very short read, and I'll see you all on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your night, and good luck trading tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.